Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Something a little bit different for this video. I thought what we would do this time is do something that's a little bit kind of explanatory, something that describes how I go about using a couple of features that are available specifically for the Hoggit servers. If you fly online and you fly on the Hoggit servers, either the training server or Persian Gulf at War or Georgia at War. Now this came up because I was flying a flight with a friend the other night and loaded up with a bunch of bombs, in this case GBU-38s, so JDAMs, and I loaded them up and didn't have a targeting pod. And he said the question, "Hey man, are you, before we took off, he said, are you forgetting the targeting pod?" And I said, no, I'm going to use the bombs in pre-plan mode. And he said, okay, cool. How do you get the targeting location for those targets? Because we don't have access to the kind of mission planner. So how do you get the kind of full kind of coordinates of those targets? And I said, well, I use Hoggit's WebGCI system. Now, if you don't know, if you fly on the Hoggit servers and you don't use the WebGCI, you really should. It's a really, really awesome resource. You can see it here. So it's at this URL here, and what I'll do is I'll probably, in fact, I will put this URL in the note in the description of the video, and it gives you access to basically their three main servers: Georgia at War, Persian Gulf at War, and their training server, which is also in the Caucasus. For the purposes of this, what I'll do is I'll probably just select Persian Gulf at War. Just so you note, this dashboard here, you can actually start to see a little bit of information about the servers themselves. So you can see Georgia at War actually has 25 players on right now, and Persian Gulf at War has 15. In fact, let's show you both of them. So if I click on Georgia at War, if you've never seen this, this is amazing, right? So this gives you a graphical representation of what's happening on the server in real time right now. So right now you can see these are the assets that are the airborne assets. You can start to even use the WebGCI to figure out things like that's an F-16. I tend to struggle to tell the difference between the F-16s and the JEFs, the JF-17s. Is that a JF-17? Yeah. So it's a little bit tricky to figure out the different iconology, but that's an F-18. So this is great because you can see where kind of friendly resources are, which is it does help avoid things like blue on blue. So before you Fox 3 into that mix of aircraft, you want to make sure that there's no friendlies in there. The other thing that allows you to do though is start to do some targeting. So this is Georgia at War. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to Persian Gulf at War, mainly because I tend to fly more there. And again, you can see here, this is the Persian Gulf at War server. You can see the different kind of airfields and assets. Specifically, the thing that I want to focus on though are these red areas. Now these tend to correspond to kind of targets that are in on the server. And in fact, as you zoom in, you can see that it starts to disaggregate a little bit. So there's 28 there. As you zoom in, it gets a little bit higher level of granularity and better fidelity of what those targets are. And then what you can do, and what I do, is if I want to use the bombs, the JDAMs, and this, I should say, this will work for any satellite guided munitions. So the JDAMs, but also the AGM-154s, the JSOWs, Joint Standoff Weapons, either version, A version or C version. So what I tend to do is I tend to use this browser, this window, on a second monitor. So I actually do this while I'm in the sim just to minimize kind of downtime. But for the purposes of this video, what I'm going to do is I'll show what I'll do is I'll use this, and then I'll cut and then go and jump in the sim and then program the F-18, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scribble down. I'm going to use a trusty old pen and piece of paper, and I'll scribble down some coordinates. So what I want to do is I want to find some targets. And I'll get into target selection for this method in a second, and some of the limitations. So you can see some targets here, and the different icons mean different things. In this case, that's an S-300 surface-to-air missile system. Now, let's say I want to target this with a JDAM. Well, luckily enough, the WebGCI system, Hoggit's WebGCI system, gives you the information that you need. In this case, you need the latitude, come on back, the latitude, the longitude, and the altitude. Those are the three pieces of information that you need. And altitude can either be in feet or meters, it doesn't matter. I tend to use feet, but you definitely need, in terms of latitude, all 8 of those digits. And then in terms of longitude, you don't actually need the trailing or the preceding 0. In this case, you just need the final 8 digits, right? So what I'll do is I'll scribble these down. So 26 degrees, 45 minutes, and 08.46 seconds. You need the decimal. What that does is sometimes if you're just putting in a waypoint, you can actually just use the first 6 digits of fidelity of the targeting, because you don't need to be super accurate. But when you're targeting something, especially like a small weapons platform on the ground, for the bomb you need the precise coordinates, so you use the decimal system. And then we know that in terms of longitude, it's at 55 degrees, 58 minutes, 25.49 seconds east. And we know that he is at an altitude of 44 feet. Now what I do is I'll go through and I'll do that for several different systems. So I'll scribble down a bunch of different ones. I can choose a bunch of different targets, and I would do that for however many bombs I have on the aircraft. In this case, I've got I'm going to have 8 bombs. Now I'll show you some of the intricacies of having multiple bombs on each station, and when I get in the sim, I'll explain that in a second. But what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll find 8 different targets and then scribble down their coordinates. Now, in terms of target selection, there are 2 things that will throw a monkey wrench into this system that I'm describing here. The first is you scribble down all the coordinates, or you have the coordinates, the WebGCI up on a separate monitor. You jump in the sim, you get in the F-18, you get it all powered up, you load up with a bunch of JDAMs, you target and type in all these coordinates, which I'll show you how to do in a second. You get in the air, you fly all the way to the target, and some dude in an A-10 has absolutely decimated that target site, and there's nothing left there. So you could pickle off your bombs, but they're just going to hit already smoking holes in the ground. That can be pretty frustrating, but it is a struggle that you do get on kind of these multiplayer servers. The thing I'd suggest though is that you can program the bombs while you're on the ground, but also if those targets are eliminated as you're on your way there, you can actually just grab some new targets and then program the bombs in the air. All that does though is it increases pilot workload, so you just got to be careful as you're flying around, especially if you're near enemy airspace and you get bumped or jumped by a C-27 or something. The second monkey wrench that can get thrown into this is if your target's moving. So obviously you're going to punch in some very precise coordinates. If the target moves even just a few feet, the likelihood is that your bomb release is going to hit nothing. It's going to hit some dirt, and obviously that's not going to result in a kill. And so I tend to focus on platforms that don't move very much in the sim. So for example, these are BMPs. I probably wouldn't target them. They may move. What I tend to focus on are targets, and the targets that work best for this are targets that don't move. Like this ZU-23 emplacement is a perfect target for it, because that's not going to move. Things like Strelas, I think there's one over here. Yeah, there's a Strela there. They don't tend to move very often, but sometimes they do. More emplacements. BMPs, they can shift around a little bit. But things like surface-to-air missile systems, they don't tend to move very much at all. So those are the things that I'll usually target with them. So what I'll do there is I'll cut the video there. I'm going to scribble down a bunch more coordinates, or maybe have this up in a separate monitor like I normally do. But yeah, if you're not using a separate monitor, scribble down all the targets and then jump in the sim. I'll cut the video here, jump in the sim, and I'll show you how to program all the bombs. So I'll see you in a sec. Right, everybody, welcome back. I'm here on Al Dafra Air Base on the Persian Gulf at War server. So I'm going to show you, there we are, there's everything. Our targets that we were looking at are up here. You can see all these orange circles. Those are the kind of bad guys that we were looking at. So, yeah, and if you look, I'll show you the 18. You can see no targeting pod. A bunch of JDAMs, no targeting pod. So, to see that inside, you can click on stores. Now, like I said, I tend to do this on the ground. There's a lot of typing involved, and I don't like having a really heavy pilot workload as I'm kind of on my way up. If I'm a long way from the target like here, I might do this in the air, but I usually just tend to do this on the ground. I'm so used to it now. I like doing it on the ground. And then, yeah, like I said, if I'm flying towards the target and someone's taking them out, no problem at all. What I'll do is I'll grab some new coordinates, maybe put the aircraft into an orbit somewhere in friendly airspace and just pre-program the bombs. Right, so to show you how to do it, you can see there, let me just zoom in. You can see I've got 8, J82 is the nomenclature for the JDAM GBU-38s. So you see that I've got 8 there, no targeting pod. And so what we need to do is we need to program in these bombs using something called pre-plan mode. So to do that, while you're on the ground, all you do is click on that button there, the weapon button, and you can see that the bombs start their alignment process, and the timer's here. Now you can see that the bombs are already in pre-planned mode. Right, so that's there. If you wanted to put them in target of opportunity mode, like I said, if you've got a targeting pod, you can click there and it puts them into target of opportunity mode. We're going to use pre-plan mode for this. Now, to get into the kind of screens that you want, what you do is you hit JDAM display, and it gets you to here. Now, with this, what you can see is Station 8, Station 2, Station 7, and Station 3, and I'm moving between them by just using the step OSB over here. So let's get back to Station 8, and then if you want to access the pre-planned programming screen, you hit Mission, MSN, so this OSB here, and you get a lot of this stuff. So the first thing to note is these are the different pre-planned coordinates that you can put into the bomb. You've got 6 different ones. So for each station, you can have 6 different target locations programmed in. Now, you might want to do that if you've got a lot of kind of varying targets and you're going to be tasked in the air and you want to do this on the ground. For me, what I tend to do is I tend to have 2 on each station because I've got 2 bombs on each station. Now, the important thing to note is each one of these pre-planned, so pre-planned 1, 2, 3, 4, if you only have one of these set and you have 2 bombs on Station 8, that pre-planned mode will correspond to that station. Meaning if you pickle off both bombs on pre-planned 1, both of them are going to be going to the same target. That's important to note. That pre-planned mode corresponds to the station, not the bomb on the station. What that means is that if we go back to stores, if you want to target those 2 bombs independently, you want them each to fly to their own target, you need to do a little bit of extra work. So if we go back to mission, you can see we've got 6 different options. So what I'll do is I'll program 2 bombs on each station. Now I'll show you how I tend to do it. There are different tricks. People can do them independently, but I'll show you how I do it. Now, the other thing to note is you can see pre-planned 1 has a box around it. That means that that's the pre-planned mode that we're on now. If I go to 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you can see the little box goes around it. But important thing to note is that it's got a cross through it, which means that right now the targeting computer doesn't have enough to feed the bombs on Station 8 with any targeting coordinates. You can see down here, this is all empty. The targeting area, especially right here, has nothing in it. Okay, so if we go back to pre-planned 1, now I'm going to grab the little book that I scribbled down some notes in, and to input the targeting coordinates on for the pre-planned 1 on Station 8, all I do is I go over here to target UFC. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock track IR just to make it easier to move the mouse around. So I'm going to go over here to target UFC, and I'm going to click that button. And then over here on the UFC, you're going to get 3 options. You're going to get term, position, and elevation. Term is the terminal flight of the bomb. So what you can do with the terminal flight of the bomb is you can actually tell it which heading to go in, the angle, the velocity, etc. Of the bomb. Now, I don't tend to use this, but this can be very powerful if you know that a target is only accessible, let's say it's between buildings or something like that, and you want the bomb to fly between those buildings. You can do that with term. Let me get that back. Position and elevation are the 2 things that we're going to use for this. I'm not going to use term now. I may do a video on it later. Like I said, I don't tend to use it very much, but maybe I'll do a video on it later. For the purposes of this video, we're going to focus on position and elevation. Now, we've got the position, so if you click on position, it gives you another 2 options, latitude and longitude. So if you click on latitude, and we know from the WebGCI that the first target we want to target, that S-300 missile system, is at north. So you put the north or east or west or south, but in this case north or east in first. And then you put the first 6 digits in. 2, 6, 4, 5, 0, 8. First 6 digits in, then hit enter. Now you're into the decimals. Now you type 4, 6, enter. And if you look over here, 264508.46. Don't ask me why it doesn't put a 0 there. I have no idea if that's a quirk of the F-18 or if it's just a bug with the Hornet in DCS. But for some reason it doesn't put it there. But when you see that gap there, it means that there's a 0 there. So 264508.46. Now, note the cross is still there. We still need to put the longitude in. So we click on, I lost it. So go back to position, click on longitude, east, 555825, enter, 49, enter. And there it is. And then the last one is the elevation, but you note that the elevation is no longer visible there. To get it back, you just click on that to get rid of it, and then click it back again, and you've got elevation. Click on elevation. Like I said, you could use feet or meters. I tend to use feet, so I'm going to click on feet, and we know that he was at 44 feet. Enter. Now, what I'll do is I'll step through and program in several targets. I'll show you one more. Now, just another trick that I've got is I tend to type with this upfront controller a lot. So what I've done is if I go to controls, the keyboard I have in front of me, the keypad, the number pad specifically, I actually have set up to be the keyboard push buttons, the UFC keyboard push buttons, just because I can type with this number pad a lot quicker than moving the mouse around and actually virtually typing it in the sim. And then I've also got the delete key set to be clear on the UFC, and then enter is obviously enter on the UFC. So I'll show you how I set up station 2. So I got a target, and we go to target UFC, click on position, latitude north, and in this case it's 264633, enter, 64. Ooh, what's happened there? Let me try that again. So this is the other thing, is if you get stuck, you see something kind of went wrong there. That's all right, just clear out of that, add it back again, click on position, click on latitude, click north, and let's try again, 264633, enter, and it's 64, enter, there we go. Longitude east, and it's 555847, 80. There it is. And then in terms of elevation, click on that twice, elevation feet, and it's 54 feet. So what I'll do is I'll go through and do that for each of the bombs and add them onto each station. But like I said, there's two bombs on each station. So if you want to have the second bomb going to its own target, that second bomb on that station, you can see if I pickle both bombs on station 8, they're both heading towards these coordinates here. What I can do though is I can click on pre-plan 2. There's no targeting information there. I'll grab a new target. Here we go, I've got one. Click on target UFC, position, latitude, north, and we know that he's at 264643.92, and longitude east, 555854.66, and he's at an elevation of 52 feet. So there you go. Now I've got two pre-planned targets on that station, on station 8. Like I said, the planning corresponds to the station. If you want to step to station 2, you can see that it's only got one plan. So if I want to have a second target for station 2, I click on that button, find a new target. I've got them up, like I said, I've just got WebGCI on a second monitor, so it's easy for me to see. So I click on target UFC, position, latitude, north, 264639.21, and longitude east, 555712. Oops. So you can see I've mistyped it there. I just hit clear, and you could start typing again. So oh, no, I need to do east first. East, 555712, enter, 21, enter. And then elevation, click, click, elevation, feet, 84 feet. So there it is. So now for station 2, I have two pre-planned targets set up for station 2. And I can do that for station 7 and station 3. Then, when I get in the air, and what I'm not going to do is I won't show you how to kind of employ JDAMs using the F-18 in the air. There are loads of videos on how to do that. WAGS has got some awesome videos on it. I'll probably give some links in the description below. So I won't show you how to do that. Basically, with JDAMs, it's really easy. So you get in the air, you get close to the target. Once you're inside of the maximum range ring, which you can see on the HSI when you're flying, I pickle off the first 4 bombs. So as I pickle, so you pickle the bomb and it rotates to the next station. Pickle the bomb, it rotates to the next station. Pickle the bomb, it rotates to the next station. Pickle the bomb and it rotates to the next station. Now back on station 8, having just dropped 4 bombs. If I want the next 4 bombs to go to their pre-planned targets, I hit pre-plan 2, pickle. It will automatically step to the next station. I hit pre-plan 2, pickle. I step to the next station. I hit pre-plan 2, I pickle. And it automatically steps to the next station, pre-plan 2, pickle. That's 8 bombs all falling towards their own distinct and discrete targets. I then clear off, fly away, get home for tea and medals, look like a superhero because I just got 8 air-to-ground kills, hopefully, by some JDAMs. So that's how I use the WebGCI system in conjunction with any satellite-guided munitions, in this case JDAMs, but like I said, they work for AGM-154s as well. And it tends to work for me. Now, I'm going to provide a couple caveats here. I'm not a professional. I'm not an amazing virtual pilot in DCS. I'm kind of mediocre, but this tends to work for me, and it allows me to kind of rack up some pretty cool air-to-ground kills. In some ways, it's almost cheating because the JDAMs are so powerful using this kind of method. Like I said, just works for me. If you found this useful, great. If you've not found it useful, no problem at all. Let me know, and you know, maybe I'll stick to what I normally do, which is just kind of give you some videos of me flying online. But when I started on the Hoggit servers, I was kind of lost on how to kind of make the best out of the WebGCI system. So this is one of the ways that I use the WebGCI system in conjunction with the very powerful targeting systems accessible via the JDAMs and the AGM-154s. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you like it, great. Give me some comments. If you don't, no problem at all. I apologize, but hopefully you found it useful, and I will see you, hopefully, on the servers sometime soon. Take care, everybody.